Welcome back, everyone, to Data Science for Everyone. Today, we're going to be looking at responding to events with React.js. Let's get started. So, we've used JavaScript to respond to events by declaring event handler functions. Now, we can also do this inside of our components. So, let's go on and create up an app that basically is a point counter. So the first thing we want to do is to create up the app itself. So export default function my app, and let's have it return out here something like h1 point totals per team. Okay. And then inside here, we will have or maybe we don't do it per team. Let's just say, let's actually make this like a lap counter. So it'll be just for one button, one lap counter. So button 1. Okay, and then we need to actually create up something that deals with button 1. So again, here you can see button 1 is not defined, so it's not going to allow us to actually compile anything yet. So let's go on and create up a button. All right. So let's have this button do something like this. So function button 1. It's not going to take any parameters. And inside here, let's have a function called handle click. Okay, and for now, let's actually just say, let's create up an alert function that says, I don't know, 1 point. Okay, and then we'll have it return in here. Notice this is for the button 1, not the handle click. Okay, the return button, so it'll be a button. And it'll have it say, click me. And let's say on click, here we want it to handle click. And again here, actually, this needs to be lowercase because we are, it's handle. All right, so click me, click 1 point, okay? So, or well, maybe I should have done 1 lap in this instance, but 1 lap. Okay, and now it's not really counting anything. It's not really doing anything excessive there, okay? Now, we'll often want to, and so let's actually give this that functionality right now. So now it's actually just having this 1 point pop up. What we want it to do, though, is to be able to remember some information and display it. So, for example, we actually want to count our lap counter. Okay, so maybe they're a swimmer, maybe they're a runner, and you want a button to click and to be able to count laps. Well, we can do that to use the use state function from React. So we want to import. Whoops. Use state. Oops. From React. Okay, and now we can do something like this. We can maybe we don't want this, so let's remove that. Oh no, we'll need it actually here in a minute. So let's do this. Let's do const count and set count. Here is going to be use state 0. Okay. Now, we're going to get two things from use state. We're going to get the current state, okay, count. And then the function that lets you update it is set count, okay? Now, you can give them any names that we want. So, but the convention is to do something like, well, something, okay? So in lowercase, and then, so it would be something like something, and then this would be set something, okay? So then this would be a capital with the set in there. So again, since we're wanting to count laps, we'll just set it to count and to set count, okay? Now, the first time that this button is going to be displayed, we want to set count equal to 0. Okay, so again we start counting at 0 for laps. And because you passed 0 to the use state, so again, that's what we're doing here. Now, when you want to change the state, we need to call set count, this function here, okay, and pass the new value to it. So this, every time that button is clicked, it's going to increment the counter. So we need to update this here, and so we need to say set count to be count plus 1, okay? Then at the bottom here, we want to return here. On click, we're going to handle this addition, and then here, inside here, we actually want to have the information. So let's say lap, and we want our count to be here, okay? So we should be able to come over here, and we see we have our lap, and now we can click it. So lap 3, 4, 5, and notice this will go up forever, okay? Anytime we click it, we'll do that. So React is going to call this component again, and this time count will be, again, 1, 2, 3, etc. Now, if you render the same component multiple times, though, it will get its own state, okay? So what we can do then is we can add in button 1. Okay. So what's going to happen now? All right, so we have 2 buttons here. Each of them are named the same thing. So what's going to happen here? Well, let me refresh it. So we have 0 and 0. So what's going to happen? Notice they act independently. Okay. So again, if we're rendering the same component multiple times, each one is going to have its own state. So each click is going to be counted separately. Now, it remembers its own set count as well, so that's fantastic, okay? We can put one up all the way. And again, it doesn't affect any other buttons. Now, what happens, though, if we want to potentially link these 2 buttons together? How would we go about doing that, okay? Well, what we can do is we can utilize hooks. So functions starting with use are called hooks. So we can also have a this here, right here, this use that we have up here for such as use state. This is a built-in hook provided by React. Now, we can find other built-in hooks looking at the API and just search for use, all right? And so then you can combine them with a bunch of existing ones and you can do some really cool stuff. Now, let's go on and actually try this out, okay? So we want Now we want to hook both of these. So notice that, hook both of these buttons together, okay? What we can do is, well, we have this, all this type of function stuff here, right? Okay. Now we have this all inside of a button. Now maybe we want to have it, we've put it inside of our button. Now let's also add in something like this. So now we have return button, okay? So what happens if we put another one? Whoops. Another one here. And let's go on and put this inside of our div tag here. What's going to happen? Well, and let me refresh this. Notice now I have 4, okay? So we need to make sure that we change and we move around some of the functionality, okay? So let's go on and do that. So first off, let's go on and remove you for now. And let's go up here to our button 1, button 2. And we want to now add our count is equal to count, and on click is equal to handle click. And we'll have that here. Okay, so let's just try this out now, okay? So we have up in here now, we have all of our lap counters, all of these things. And we need to actually move this stuff down, okay? And we'll have to move some stuff up. So things are going to be moving around just a little bit. So first off, let's go on and move. Oops. Let's move all of this information. So from our button, we're going to move it up to our app. Okay. So now we have our const, count, set count, use state, function, handle click, set count. Then it's going to return our lap counter, and it's going to have our buttons in there with our, with all of our information. And then now inside of the button call here, let's give it some space up here. It needs to take in, it needs to take in our count and our on click. Okay, or I think, yes, our on click. Okay, and inside here, okay, this is going to be, oh, did we call it? We actually called it handle click, I believe. All right, I think that's okay. So, but here an on click is now going to be on click. Okay, and then we have our lap count X amount of times. So now we should be able to come over, refresh, and we have our lap counter, and now they move together. Okay, so now they have been hooked together and things are moving synchronously, okay? And this can be very useful for a lot of different scenarios in here. Now, what's actually going on in here? So when we are clicking our on click, okay, so the handler is firing off. Now each button's on click property here was set to the click handle function, okay, which is inside of my app, okay. And so the code inside of it runs. Now this code calls this set count plus 1, incrementing the count state variable. Now the new count value is going to be passed as a property to each button, so they all show new values. Now this is called lifting state up, by moving the state that we've shared between the components. Okay, so here we have shown how to utilize your hooks, how to share data between components, and we've also talked about how to utilize just some updatings of the screens, as well as how to render lists. Okay? If you guys like this and you want more of this content, please comment, subscribe, and hit that like button, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.